Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar video. In this one I'm going to be reviewing the Funko Pop Aang Avatar State, the Pop Super from the Wave 2 of Avatar The Last Airbender Pops. And like I said, this is a Pop Super, so it's a lot bigger. Just the box, the figure itself, there's a lot more going on than your standard Pop. Like look at it next to some of the Pops off screen there. But also, let's just bring in one of the boxes and show you the difference. So it's obviously a much taller box, it's a much wider box, and if we just kind of tip them over here, it's also kind of a deeper box as well. So it's all dimensions here. It's a much bigger figure than most of the other ones. So that's a really cool thing it has going on. And in terms of the packaging, just before we open it up, I think the only real thing to cover with this is just this side here. This one, obviously, again, it's number 1000, Pop Animation number 1000, Aang Avatar State. It's got the normal thing here, but the elemental kind of effect part design here that they've been using on a lot of the more recent Avatar merchandise looks fantastic here. With Aang here, where he's doing all of the elements, it's so cool to have the background be the element kind of background. So that's very nice. And then, like I said, it's part of this group of commons. The Suki, Tylee, Zhao, and Ozai have already reviewed. But now it's time to finish off the set with our Pop Super Avatar State Aang. There is an exclusive version of this. It's a glow-in-the-dark exclusive. I'll talk about that more, I think, because I've taken a look at that one. This isn't the glow-in-the-dark one. This is just a standard common one. But that's an exclusive. I think it's Target in America has the exclusive, and then I think it's HMV for UK. Not sure about other places, but yeah, let's open this up. And then yeah, look at this. On the kind of inner lid of the box, we looked at some of the other ones, and they do have a symbol that represents what nation they're from. And Aang, of course, being a bender of all four elements, gets all four as the avatar. So you have your water symbol, earth, fire, and water. It's upside down just because of the way I opened the box, but it is cool. Again, there's the kind of right orientation for it. But yeah, let's open this up. So there is Aang in the plastic, keeping it safe. And we'll just take it out here. So really nice overall. Just immediate comparison here next to another Pop. Like, it's not massively tall compared to everything else, but there's so much extra plastic with the effects. The fact there's like a dome of plastic around the entire figure, and it's got like a built-in stand. That's why it's a Pop Super, because it's just bigger than most of the other stuff. Like even say the Ozai, which has a rather big effect part as the base, doesn't really come close to feeling like the amount of plastic that's involved in this Aang, because the thing you immediately notice is that like it's a full-on Aang Funko Pop. Like if you took away the sphere and all the rings of elements, that would still be a really nice like Avatar State Aang of just like him on the stand in that pose, and you just accept that there was no way to do the rings properly and have the figure work all that well. But no, they went the extra mile on this one, knowing that this was going to be sort of the centerpiece of their Wave 2, being released at a time when Avatar is super popular. They knew they had to nail this specific iteration of Aang, and I suppose because it was also Pop Animation number 1000 as well. So let's get into this one. There's a lot to talk about. Like I said, it is a normal Funko Pop Aang. On a stand, you can see the stand goes down here into the base, and then around that there's of course the kind of two halves of the sphere, the air sphere, that is the kind of core of Aang in this all four elements mode. These two spheres are kind of held together the kind of where they're joined is actually underneath the fire ring. So if you took off this fire ring, you'd see where the two spheres kind of come together. And this maybe brings up the first point that is maybe the one disappointment I'd have with this figure, is just that I maybe wish that this effect part was the same transparent sort of plastic fire that they used on some of the other characters. So like the Ozai, for instance, like has that, you know, see-through transparent orange fire. If they'd used that same material here, I think it would have put it over the edge. Similarly with the same with the kind of end of Zuko's fire here, transparent, see-through. I think that would have been really nice. I can maybe see perhaps why they didn't do it, just because, like I said, this is where the two parts of the sphere are joined. Maybe you'd be able to see too much of the sort of construction of it if it was see-through. So I respect that decision, ultimately. And then inside that you have the ring of water, as you can see there. Very nice. And that looks to be kind of glued onto the insides of the sphere at, it seems to be like these 2 points, like right here. Here is where like the fire attaches to the air sphere, which attaches to the water, and the same like roughly about here, because I don't think it touches the outside of the sphere anywhere along the rest of it. And then obviously on the inside here, you can see that this is where the Earth section touches off the air sphere as well. And the Earth section is done with obviously a sort of transparent ring that has rocks kind of all the way along it. That's a really cool way that they actually did the Earth effect parts. You'd wonder, like for say some Earthbender characters, how do you actually portray them doing earthbending that's not directly coming out of the ground? This is one way to do it, especially for this super Aang mode, which is very nice. So yeah, they did that really, really nicely with, again, it attaching sort of on here and here to the water effect part. And that's, you know, overall how it comes together. You know, this is the part here that sort of determines the height of the sphere. Aang's in the middle of that. And then the other spheres are just attached to the inside. I'd love to know like how difficult or not in terms of production like this figure was to put together compared to like a normal pop. It was slightly delayed, I think, compared to a lot of the other ones. Now I don't know if that is just because this one sold the best compared to the other ones, or just because of the complex nature of like what's going on here. But really cool. The final thing I suppose to talk about with the sphere is just that it's not a perfect sphere. You can probably just about tell here that they purposefully didn't make it this super clean, absolute geometry perfect sphere. It has these little kind of ripples and kind of bumps throughout it, which I think helps that it doesn't catch the light like the way a proper sphere kind of would. It also helps to get across the idea that it is meant to be air and not Aang in a glass ball, which is the effect I suppose they wanted to avoid. Now, the obvious other way to avoid that would have been to have maybe some little bits of white paint kind of going throughout this to again get across the air effect part aspect of this. But that could have obscured you actually being able to see Aang inside the ball. So I think they did this the absolute best that they could have done, while acknowledging that it's a very, very difficult thing to get across. Like, we've never seen a physical representation of Aang in this form anywhere apart from this Funko. There's no super high-end, cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars big statue of this. I think partly because it's so difficult to do correctly and make it work. The rings, I think, aren't too much of a problem, but it's the fact that Aang is encased in a sphere of air, and how do you do the sphere of air properly, where you can see him and it still looks like air? They did their attempt at it with the kind of ripply kind of sphere here, and I think it's about the best that we're going to see. Maybe now that Avatar is so popular, we'll see a company attempt it. But for like what, €20? Like it's only like $5-10 more this super pop than a normal pop. That's probably the biggest thing to me with this, is that like just based on like how much more complicated it is, you'd think it's maybe like double, triple the price of a Funko, but it's not even the price of 2 Funkos for this kind of normal one, and that's really cool. And why it's among the some of the few Funkos where I'd say, like, even if you're not a fan of Funko Pops, if you just like Avatar stuff, you should probably grab this one. The two I always sort of say are probably the Iroh and the Aang. Just because Iroh, to have a little Iroh on your desk to remember his wisdom, that's always a nice thing. You know, your favorite, whoever your favorite character is, of course. But this is such a nice piece here. The way it has the built-in stand, it's got everything you want from that final battle. It's so cool. So let's talk about the Aang inside. So, you know, you have Avatar State arrows and eyes, as well as his whole tattoos as an airbending master. So all of that stuff is coloured in the kind of white with a tinge of blue colour scheme that they seem to be going for here, with the idea that it's tattoos lighting up because it's the Avatar State. Angry eyebrows, because this is Aang furious, because it's the defense mechanism Avatar State. So it's not really like him there until right at the end of the sequence, of course. So that's nice. You can see it's obviously the shirt off Aang here, so it's only the kind of bottoms that you get to see here. But the key details, I think, here are on his back and on his feet. So you have the wound on his back from when Azula struck him with lightning at the end of Book 2. And that obviously is what caused a lot of the issues with the Avatar State for Aang prior to hitting the wall in the final fight, and the process that was being completed at the time of Book 2 finally completes itself. Here the energy flows and the Avatar State is back. The key detail, though, is the little kind of exit wound there on his foot, that when the lightning went into his back, kind of came out his foot, of course. And there's that detail that's there in the animation on the show, and it's there here as well. Kind of like, you wouldn't have had too much of a problem if they forgot, but they were so detailed, they put it in there. And then once again, they got the whole effect of like Aang's arrows and how they're meant to work completely correctly, in terms of, like, you can see there, starts under his armpit, rotates around and comes around on his hand, like you can see there. So absolutely wonderful detail on this Aang. They did it really nicely, and you can see the arrows on his feet there as well. So, you know, one of the best Funkos that are out there. Do I have another one of the big pops around? I think the only one I really have is Exodia. So you can see here, like, it's not as large as one of the typical, you know, 6-inch pops, but I think the lack of size of the pop itself is made up for by, of course, the crazy effect part going on, makes up for it. It'd be like sort of if they did like Exodia at the normal scale and had his obliterate attack be this huge effect part. That would be kind of cool. But, you know, it gives you a sense for, you know, it's still standard Funko Pop scale for the Aang figure, but it's the effect around him that's what makes it a bigger kind of pop. But it's not so big that it's this scale. So there's that. Really cool. And then, yeah, you know, obviously the obvious one to go off is with Ozai. There is an exclusive Ozai coming out that matches this Aang, so it's, you know, Final Battle Ozai. So I definitely do want to get that one just to kind of pair with the Aang. But you know, for now, this Ozai will do. You know, it's convenient that, you know, this is probably how it should have went. Ozai kneeling down sort of respectfully before Aang in this mode. That's how it probably should have went. But yeah, super cool. Absolutely love this figure. Like I said, would recommend it to any Avatar fan. Even if you don't collect merchandise that much, this feels like one of those super nicely priced but super cool item. Why not have this in your collection? That's how strongly I feel about this one. So in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are on the Pop Super Aang from the Commons Wave 2. But yeah, I did say actually in the last video I would do some speculation about what figures I think they would do next for Avatar. Now, I don't think there's really been much rumor about what is coming next. It's just I think we're still waiting for some of the already announced exclusives to come out. In that there's still May, which should be on the way for me. The Blue Spirit Zuko, again, should be on the way for me. There's the Zhao with the fire effect part. There's the new Ozai, which is the final battle Ozai. And I think that's it for exclusives. There's obviously, like I said, the other glow-in-the-dark Aang, which just has the glow-in-the-dark paint for the arrows and stuff like that. And that's where we're at with exclusives. Oh, and I forgot. There is the other Azula that they recently announced, the exclusive as well. That's her from the final Agni Kai with Zuko, doing the sort of fire jet kind of movement ability. So that's where we're at with everything there. So if they were to do a wave 3 and to do, you know, say 4 or 5 commons, what characters should they do? First, in terms of sort of redos of characters, I think they need to do a book 3 Katara. The Katara that they've done already is book 1 Katara. It's her outfit from like book 1. I think they need to do a book 3 Katara where she has her different hairstyle, and she has the like 2 water pouches, and she's in more of a kind of battle mode as well. That one definitely needs to happen. Sokka, I think the redo for him that they need to do is pretty much his end of series battle outfit. So his kind of Water Tribe warrior outfit. You can maybe do like a chase version of him with the helmet on as well. It's maybe a little bit too much for a chase because it was unhelmeted versus helmeted one. You know, there's options with Sokka where like you probably want to do one of him as like leader in the invasion. You probably want one of him where he has the space sword as well. But that's the really obvious one for Sokka, is to do, you know, him holding the sword and in his armor from towards the end of the series. That is something that definitely needs to happen. They've done a lot of Aangs already. They've actually done quite a few Zukos, though I think they probably at some point will do another Zuko in his book 3 outfit. Maybe one with him with the swords out, or just doing a fire pose rather than lightning redirection pose. That's definitely something I could see them doing. I'd actually really like to see them do a kind of bigger pop that's like, you know, Zuko and Aang doing the dancing dragon. That would be kind of cool in terms of a redo. Iroh. I think in terms of Iroh, you've already done this one from like book 1. Maybe him and his like you know, owner of the Jasmine Dragon, you know, his tea shop kind of outfit, his Earth Kingdom tea shop outfit, would be something nice to do. Or one of him in action, like Order of the White Lotus Iroh from towards the end. And that would obviously open the door to, in terms of newer characters, to do the rest of the Order of the White Lotus. They'd definitely be good characters to do in terms of like Zhang Zhang, Paku, Piandao with the sword, of course, Boomy with a big earth effect part. They're cool characters. They're benches apart from Piandao. It would definitely be a very good thing to do. And then beyond that, I think you are definitely getting into the range where you probably then need to do the other avatars. So Avatar Kyoshi, for sure. You need to do a Roku, definitely. And because you're doing Roku, why don't you also do a Fang, or a special Roku with Fang, his dragon, or just a pop of an Avatar dragon. Similarly, a pop of a Badger Mole, I think would be cool. Because you obviously have Appa, of course, as the flying bison, so why not do some of the other animals as well? When you get into the other avatars, I kind of wonder, like, okay, Karuk, we know more about him now. It'd be really cool, and I think his design, especially him with the full fur effect and stuff like that, the polar bear dog thing, would be a really cool looking Funko Pop to do for Avatar Karuk, and then Avatar Yang Chen. The only thing about that is, are you maybe going a little bit too obscure with those two? I'm not sure. Jet tends to be a character in merchandise and stuff that they tend to highlight as being one of the more notable main characters, and it fits because he's in quite a few action scenes. He is a decent role, especially in book 2, and of course he has the 2 hook swords, so it's something unique to his design that, you know, makes for a pretty interesting pop. Beyond that, like I said, I think you are just starting to get into the range where you are probably needing to either just do lots and lots of redos of characters, or you start to really go into the even more sort of slightly obscure characters, and who are you unwilling to do and who are you willing to do, in terms of like, are they going to do like Haru? I'm not so sure about that. Are they going to do like, say, Hugh from the Swamp, or are they going to do Swamp Benders? Those type of things. Will they do Chong and the Nomads as sort of minor character stuff? Will they do characters from characters past? Like, will they do it like a Gyatso for Aang? That sort of thing. Like, will they do a pop for Ursa, Zuko and Azula's mother? There's a lot of questions like that you would also have. Like, will they do that? Then, like, to go with Toph, like, say, some of the Earth Rumble characters, will they do the Boulder? Or something like that. Will they do a Toph with the Earth Rumble belt as like the Blind Bandit version of Toph? That'd be, sort of interesting. And then, looking at the Pop Super as like an example, like, what else can they do that sort of is like that or along those lines as like a bigger pop? Like I said, I think a dragon would look kind of cool, because they've already done a bigger scale figure. I actually have it, it's just not within range of me right now. The Shenron from Dragon Ball dragon, and the type of dragons in Avatar are fairly similar to that one. I think they could do a big one like that and just do either Ran and Shaw or Fang. That'd look, I think, very nice as another pop. And beyond that, I think there probably are a few options for kind of the battle pops, where it's two characters in battle with each other, which they've done for a couple of certain animes. But we'll see what they do there. So, like, obviously, Azula versus Zuko would be one. There's probably an option for an Aang versus Zuko at some point, Aang versus Ozai. Though that might be slightly difficult to do, because you'd probably have to do this one again, and that would take up probably a lot of the budget for it or whatever. So, there's definitely options, I think. There's definitely no sense of like they're running out of characters to do for Avatar. They can go into a lot of characters that I didn't even mention here. A lot of the ones I mentioned here were the ones that I feel make a lot of sense to do as Funkos, but I wouldn't mind if they really started taking some, deep cut characters out of this, of just like really minor characters. Like, would they do June and Nyla or something like that? Who knows? But going to end the video here. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts are on the the Pop Super Aang, and also what Avatar pops do you think are coming next? What do you think they need to do in a kind of wave 3? But that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.